What is up, guys? Welcome back. I got another quick video here for you guys today. We're going to be going over players that I am moving up in my projections. It is August 25th as I record this. I know a lot of people had fantasy drafts over last weekend. It's Labor Day weekend coming up, though, and that is, to me, that is the best weekend to do your fantasy football drafts. Preseason's done, camp cuts and things are happening. We got the Joe Mixon news today, a bunch of people getting deals. Congrats, Terry McLaurin. But we're going to get right into the video, and I think I want to kind of talk about the Denver Broncos for a little bit because two guys I moved up, one guy I moved down. The big move up for me was Courtland Sutton. Now, this other – and I know it's preseason, but I had to finally take some action on some of this preseason stuff here with Denver. Courtland Sutton, Bo Nix. I've moved both of those guys up in my numbers, which lifted them higher in my projections and my rankings as well. And then I had to move Evan Ingram down a little bit. So for me, when I look at the snap counts over in Denver, Bo Nix played 21 snaps. The starting offense was out there for 21 snaps. Sutton ran 21 snaps. He ran 15 routes, all 15 routes. And then he had 7 targets, 7 out of Bo Nix's 14 targets, which I know this is not going to be a sticky number every game. But for me, I had to kind of change my thinking because I go and I look at the tight end numbers and I see Adam Troutman getting more snaps than Evan Ingram. It was 12-10, so Ingram number 2 in snaps. Routes run, Evan Ingram did run 8 of the 15 routes. Troutman ran 6 of the 15 routes. So that's a red flag for me. I got really nervous about Evan Ingram, and I had to remove some of his numbers. I've been kind of talking that I think he could lead this team in receptions, but I don't feel good about that statement anymore. So Sutton had a lot of numbers roll his way. I even had to kind of boost Bo Nix's numbers a little bit because this team looks like it's going to be a good passing offense. I think Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, all those guys, I like them. And Pat Bryant, too. He's going to be an interesting guy as the season goes on. But Sutton moved up. I think where Sutton should be going drafted, I mean, I got him up in the T. Higgins, Mike Evans kind of area. I have him ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr., so if you're drafting and you want to get a team's number one receiver that, you know, he can be your wide receiver 2 on paper. He could perform as a wide receiver 1 a handful of weeks. He looks great as a wide receiver 3, though. So Sutton's definitely up. And then for me, Bo Nix is comfortably my QB 8. I don't know how much upside he has to go higher. He's got to throw for over 4,000 yards. He's got to run for a lot more yards and touchdowns as well. But I think I'm starting to believe in Denver's and this passing offense and just the players that they've added this season, and Sean Payton finally starting to get some traction. So Denver was the big move. And then Evan Ingram actually moved just outside of my top 12 tight ends. He's tight end 14 for me. I get real nervous when I see route run usage, 8 routes out of 15 total pass attempts is not great. He did get a target, but this looks like a tight end timeshare, which is what they've showed us the last couple of years under Sean Payton. So that's the major moves going on in Denver. Let's move on to TreVeyon Henderson. Now, this is the guy that just everybody is simply moving up. It's kind of insane what's going on over there in New England right now. Now, I still think that he's going to be the 1B back. Even when Ramondre was not in this other preseason game, Hendo didn't start the game. It was Antonio Gibson. So I think they have him locked into this 1B role. I'm still expecting Ramondre Stevenson to lead the team in total rushing attempts this year, but there is a very real chance that over the season, they basically just have to say we have to give Henderson the ball more, and I think his role will continue to grow as the year goes on. But the role that he's going to have week 1, I'm thinking anywhere between 6 to 10 carries. And then I'm hoping for, 4, 5, 6 targets because he might be their best playmaker to throw the ball to as well. And then just doing the research on Josh McDaniels on what his running back 1 did from about, I think my study was 2011 to 2021, something like that. But it was a good 10-year data study. And his RB1s averaged 74 targets per season. So I have Henderson at about 70 targets. I have him at about 145 carries this year, which is, to me, I feel safe with those projections. And he's coming out to RB18 in my projection. So I think he's well warranted. And especially as a guy who should get more work as the year goes on, Henderson is creeping into the 3rd round of DraftKings and underdogs and drafters right now. And he's right next to Omarion Hampton. So Hendo, I do like it. He's going to be a very strong RB2 in PPR leagues. The next running back we're going to talk about, we'll talk about Washington here. We're gonna go with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and the big thing, obviously, Brian Robinson's gone in San Francisco. We'll touch on that in a sec. But JCM, man, the other day, the preseason game, the final preseason game of the year, they didn't even play Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, but they did play. They played Chris Rodriguez. So to me, that's kind of a big deal that they view JCM as the lead ball carrier on this team. They still put Chris Rodriguez out there to get some snaps and some carries and some things like that. I think he's the backup here. I think he's going to maybe get 3, 4, 5 carries per game. But to me, it looks like JCM is the guy. And when I, ended up touching his numbers up a little bit, he came out to about RB 30. He's kind of in a tier for me where after I see Tyrone Tracy, Aaron Jones come off, that's kind of when it's JCM time. I think he's probably one of the best bench running backs that you can put on your team this year. As we're going to watch him and see what he can do. He's going to get a chance to show as much as he can, because I think the emergency running back would be Chris Rodriguez if things aren't going well. But JCM moved him up. I think Austin Eckler is still going to be a very good running back in PPR leagues. He's going to be out there for third downs. He's going to be out there in 2-minute drills and in big situations. He might even get some goal line red zone opportunities too. I think Eckler's still a very good pick. But I like both guys. I think if you're in half PPR to standard league, you're looking for JCM. If you're in PPR leagues, I think Eckler is still the value, but I'm coming around to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt maybe being a really solid RB2-3 for us all season long. And then Rodriguez, he's on my radar. We're going to probably talk about him maybe on the waiver wire at some point this year, but to me, it's very clear that they're going to want to try and give JCM as much opportunity as possible. Another running back field that I think we got a little bit of clarity on. Well, not a ton, but it's the Cleveland Browns. And I was very encouraged because the Browns actually showed us a good amount of stuff this weekend. They let Joe Flacco out there run 17 plays. Among those plays, Jerome Ford ran 6 snaps. Dylan Sampson had 5 snaps. They kind of basically gave those guys the first 2 drives, and then Pierre Strong came in. So the numbers are a little bit diluted here. But I do think both Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson are worth a pickup. Sampson actually got the start. He got the first carry of the day. I think both Ford and Sampson got 2 carries. Sampson had 1 target. Ford had 2 targets. So they're kind of mingling the roles here, and there's a little bit of room for everybody. I think Ford had 4 routes. Sampson had 3 routes. So the upside here is pretty exciting. I think Jerome Ford's still a quality back. He tested out very well last year when I looked at his metrics. And then just the unknown upside of a Dylan Sampson. If you guys have already drafted this past weekend, go and see if Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson, if one of them are available, I think you want to try and find a space to get him, because we just don't know what's going on with Quinshon Judkins. They're going to wait for the NFL to kind of make a decision on any suspensions or things like that. And I don't even know if we can count on him playing games this year yet. So to me, it's Sampson and Ford. I think both these guys are exciting bench running backs. I've actually got Dylan Sampson up here at about RB 37 in my PPR projections, and Jerome Ford is right there, RB 35. So these guys are bench players that we want in 2025. Just a quick note on some of the other running back situations. San Francisco, Isaac Guerrero hurt his shoulder again. They're just banged up, man. They just needed bodies, so that's why they went and got Brian Robinson. I think Brian Robinson's fine as a deeper handcuff kind of bench stash, things like that. He's not going to have every down or every week usage as a flex or anything like that. But I think he's kind of somewhere in that tier of, Jalen Wright, Ray Davis, these 1B type handcuff backs that could be nice. So I still think there's room for him to be useful this season if CMC goes down. But that's really the only outline for him to make a dent in our lineups. And then the other backfield real quick is just the Jacksonville Jags, man. I really don't take a lot of ETN or Tank Bigsby. I think everyone's kind of coming around to seeing that Bashal Tutin might be the best back on their roster. So it's a lot of parallels to what Liam Cohen did last year with Bucky Irving. It took Bucky Irving a month and a half or so. Mid-October, he kind of became the starting guy. Maybe we see that with Tutin. I think if you're looking for running backs late in your drafts, Tutin's one to keep an eye on. Receivers that I have moved up, Ricky Pearsall, man. Juwan Jennings is still out with the calf contract situation going on. They didn't put him on IR, which was good this afternoon. But I think it's very clear Ricky Pearsall is the best receiver to own on San Francisco. He could easily crash the top 20, top 24 wide receivers in numbers by the end of the season. And I'm kind of being modest because I still like Jennings if he's going to be out there week one. And I like Kittle a lot. I like CMC a lot. So I like this offense. But I got Ricky Pearsall up to wide receiver 27 in my projections. And I feel very good about him having a breakout season. Maybe not a breakout, but a very productive season where you're going to want him as your wide receiver 3 flex this season. The other receivers I'm moving up, Matthew Golden and Emeka Egbuka, both rookie receivers, are just checking all the boxes for me. I think with Egbuka, everyone knows Chris Godwin's not going to be out on the field until sometime in October. And even then, it takes time to get back into the swing of things. And 1 week into the season, we could see that Egbuka is going to be catching a ton of passes. So he gets the free trial for the first month while Godwin's going to be out to see what he can do. So Egbuka, man, he is a top 25 PPR wide receiver option for you. And then with Golden, kind of a similar thing to the 49ers receivers. It's just he's kind of the only guy there anymore. Dobbs is fine, but Matthew Golden's going to probably lead this team in receptions, targets, yards, maybe touchdowns. I think Jaden Reed with the foot thing, he's not a full-time player. Matthew Golden is a full-time player, and he is their best talented player at the receiver position, and I'm pushing him up. I'm trying to get Ricky, Egbuka, Golden. Those are 3 of my favorite receivers to draft right now. Other receivers that I like to push up after seeing some preseason data, it's the Saints, Olave and Rashid Shaheed. I think both those guys are going to be very useful for us. Good values at the receiver position. You can get them, mid-range of drafts, and Rashid's really cheap too. But they're going to mix these guys finally into the slot. That's what Kellen Moore can do for an offense like this. And I don't care that the quarterbacks are bad. Receivers still got to catch the ball. And at this point, they're going to be the easy 2 leading target guys. And just the other day in preseason here, they were lining them up in the slot. They were doing a lot of fun things with them. I think they both had 3 targets, and they look like they're going to be huge pieces of this offense. So Saints, Olave, Rashid Shaheed, sign me up. And then a tight end here who I had been kind of creeping up over the last few weeks, and I kind of got him as a top 20 tight end. And he's a guy that I think, week 1, I'm not going to be surprised if he pops, and he's the waiver wire guy that we're all talking about. But it's Tennessee Titans Chig Okonkwo. He won people some fantasy leagues last year. I know I was able to win some DraftKings best ball money with Okonkwo as my leading scorer. I think his end of the year showed pretty strongly, and we're getting this upgrade with Cam Ward. There's not a lot of target competition after Calvin Ridley. We're talking Tyler Lockett and some rookie receivers. Okonkwo firmly has this receiving tight end roll down. I like him on my bench. If I want to wait for tight end, I can go for Zach Ertz and Okonkwo. I can go for Jake Ferguson and Okonkwo, something like that, and try to make it work. But Okonkwo is definitely a guy that has my attention, and I want to see how he looks week 1 because he's probably going to get a lot of targets. And then just real quick here, some players that I kind of move numbers away from. A little bit nervous with Brock Bowers just being drafted. I usually don't like to draft tight end that high. The preseason usage is a little concerning because they're going to mix him in a lot with Michael Mayer. And I don't know if I can see the 112 or whatever receptions that he had last year. I see the numbers coming down, and I just don't know if I want to pay up for a tight end like that. I can wait for Kittle. Even McBride might be more. So McBride actually is my tight end 1 in terms of projections. So I don't know, man. The Jacoby Myers stuff did happen today. He requested a trade. Everyone's going to think, Brock Bowers to the moon and all that stuff, but they're just going to slide another receiver in. It doesn't actually put Bowers on the field more. Maybe some more targets go his way, but I don't think it's enough to move the needle for me to take Brock Bowers in the 2nd round. The other tight end I moved down was Evan Ingram. We talked about him earlier. Receivers that kind of got pushed down for me, Garrett Wilson and Jaden Reed both fell a little bit. And then running backs that I'm kind of souring on, Tyrone Tracy, Chuba Hubbard, J.K. Dobbins, and Ramondre Stevenson. So there you have it. Those are the players moving up in my projections rankings. Check out the fantasyfellowship.com. We got season-long passes. We got 2-week trials. We got all this good stuff over there. Projections, cheat sheets, everything you need before you draft this Labor Day weekend. It's Monday. I'm going to probably take another day or 2 and just let some data come in and some things sink in. But I'm going to probably get my redraft rankings and my projection cheat sheets up either by Thursday or Friday of this week. If you need those sheets, hit me up before then. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.